This project here is called The Wisdom of Age, La Sagesse de l'Âge, and it's a project that I really been thinking about for quite a few years. And I wanted to basically to put our local in our area, local seniors, basically on a pedestal. And it's not high-end politicians or high-end business people. It's just ordinary people in our communities that did put their lives, raised their kids, did their careers, had their homes right here in our communities. C'est un projet qui est très, très près de mon cœur parce que c'est des gens, premièrement, très sympathiques. C'est des gens qui étaient très fiers d'être partie du projet. Puis, je voulais mettre en place, en mode, si vous voulez, le concept d'avoir des gens de notre région sur un plateau. Mais one of the big things for me was to also introduce our younger people in our communities to take part of this, because it's also a multimedia project that we have videos and people have their thoughts and comments on it. And of course, Wisdom of Age, at the end of the video, they give us their wisdom in a sense of, if, for an example, if they could speak to their younger self, what would they give for advice? Or if they could talk to a group of young people. So it was very important for me to incorporate youth into this project in the sense of having them visit and see the exhibit. Unfortunately, there was this thing called COVID that affected not only us here, but on a global level, that really changed the direction of this project, both in execution and creation, etc. At first, when I started the project, the idea was I was going to go at people's places on their own site, in their homes, in their area, where they are comfortable, and create there. But that, of course, got changed immediately. Non seulement que ça a été changé très drastiquement et très vite, je ne pouvais plus me rendre chez les gens, donc j'ai dû être obligé d'amener les gens à moi. Donc j'avais un petit studio, je travaillais avec une lentille un peu longue, donc je pouvais me séparer. Mais le projet était planifié pour à peu près 1 an et demi de travail pour l'accomplir, et tout a été cancellé. J'ai eu 1 mois et demi à faire 1 an et demi de travail. It was a really demanding project to do because of that, because to take 1.5 years of work and pull it off in 1.5 months was also physically challenging on me, because I was going there day and night. So the people were very gracious and very honored to be part of this project. Like I had mentioned, it's what I call Joe Q public. They were pleased, and where I got touched by it is not only the participation and the willingness of the people to be part of this and wanting to be photographed, to be part of it. It's the children and the grandchildren and the families that send me tons and tons of messages to thank me to do this in honor of their loved ones. Donc pour moi, ça a devenu un projet non seulement très intéressant pour me rendre dans mes racines de portrait, c'était aussi un projet qui est devenu très émotionnel sur le point de vue de, j'ai connu un point de vue intime tous les gens ici, and we became very good friends, and I still talk to all of them. So it's a really, really interesting project to be able to, of course, work with the people of Resorgo Place, which was an absolute pleasure, and of course the help of the City of Moncton to be part of this, and of course all the people that supported the project in many, many different ways. Gérard Martin from Escuminac, New Brunswick, and a Korean War veteran. He's 95 years old, and un survivant du désastre d'Escuminac, where they hit the perfect storm, and it took away most of the men and their son, the fishermen and their sons in the community, and he's a survivor of this, and also a war veteran. Very interesting man. Gisèle Desjardins-Drapeau, mère de famille, aussi artiste visuel très 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 reconnu, incroyable comme artiste, aussi pour un bout de temps professeur d'art visuel à l'université de Moncton. She is a very accomplished artist, presently retired, but still working again in her studio. She has a beautiful studio in her house where she creates very, very important work in the sense of historical. Donald Megras, artiste visuel peintre, originaire de Pocmouche, au Nouveau-Brunswick, près de Caraquet, puis avait une galerie incroyable sur sa propriété pour plusieurs années. He is well known for a very, very substantial project that he did with indigenous chiefs all around New Brunswick. His paintings are life-size and they are spectacular. Claudine Bourque, originaire de Memramcook, jamais que j'ai rencontré une femme si pleine de joie, adore la vie, a vécu une très 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 belle vie, non seulement personnelle mais aussi sur le point de vue de carrière. Just an amazing person that embraces life like you wouldn't believe. And she actually, when she retired, started really getting into the things that she really wanted to do all through her career because she was very busy working, etc. And picked up photography. So I was really honored that she took a course with me in photography and has never looked back since. Her growth in visuals and photography is really, really inspiring, even for people like me who have been doing this for about 40 years now. Also with her friends, c'est vraiment quelque chose de voir qu'avec ses amis, c'est un groupe de femmes à peu près, je pense c'est 8 ou 10 femmes qui se rassemblent tous les mois à peu près pour avoir des activités, ils se donnent des choses, mais ils font beaucoup de choses comme ils font du ziplining, ils font des voyages quand ils peuvent voyager. Ils font des voyages, des choses comme ça, mais c'est vraiment des gens que le mot retiré n'embarque pas dans le vocabulaire. The retirement for them is just not part of the equation. They just keep going. They do all kinds of activities together, and they're a group of women. They call themselves the Golden Girls, and they just have a lot of fun embracing life. And that, to me, is what inspires me, again, when it comes to this project. Eugène Leblanc, psychologue, originaire de Moncton, né ici à Moncton. Just a wonderful person. This is a person that worked very, very hard all his life and did a lot of good for people, but also driven by passion and just wanting to, very proud of his accomplishments. Son rêve en retirement, pour se retirer, était un jour de publier un livre. Et son livre a été publié il n'y a pas longtemps, peut-être quelques semaines, qui a été lancé en public. Eugène Leblanc. Excellent. Speaking of inspiration, Pat Nodden, born in St. John in New Brunswick, moved to Riverview in the late 50s, or she's been here for about 57 years, 58 years, with her husband when he was transferred. But the amazing part, you know, is when I start putting people in front of my lens that I didn't know her, and we started talking. And this is what I mean about getting to know each other and all that stuff through this project. At the age of 58, she picked up figure skating and really embraced it. And fast forward now, she's 85 years old. In 82, she was invited to compete in the World Adult Championship in figure skating in Austria and Germany, mais aussi à travers le Canada. Elle a voyagé partout à travers le Canada pour compétitionner en patinage artistique. Donc c'est vraiment une personne très active, très inspirante à l'âge de 85, qui fait du patinage tous les jours, encore aujourd'hui. So for her, and of course on the skates here you can see she met her idols, Kurt Browning, Elvis Stoiko, and all these amazing legends in Canada, and she had the opportunity to meet them, and they signed her skates for her. Just a very vibrant, energetic and happy-go-lucky person that raised her children right here in Riverview and in Moncton, Dieppe area. Victor Légère, originaire de East End, ici à Moncton, grandi sur la rue King, directement ici au musée, la place Lusogo. And he was a CN person, worked for many, many years at the CNR, and of course with everything closed here in Moncton, he started his own construction company. And his son is now the owner, and again, a very proud person in the sense that as a small business person and a construction guy, he hired people, and that to him is a very big part of his pride and accomplishments in a whole career. To be able to help people support their families. And when he retired, he converted his garage into a shop where he works with very intricate tools, finishing tools, and he makes instruments like guitars and things like that. Just an interesting person with some amazing stories to tell. Il adore partager ses histoires, mais aussi bâti des voitures, parti des clubs d'automobile. Il a traversé le Canada. Il a traversé le Canada avec 1953 GMC, un camion de St. John's, Newfoundland, jusqu'à Vancouver, Victoria, avec un groupe. Il était à peu près une centaine de voitures. Très, très, très impliqué avec les gens. Just a person that embraces other people in the sense of wanting to share and grow together, and at the age of 74 is not stopping anytime soon. She's the oldest participant in the project. Photographed her, she was 101 years old, still living in her home on Macbeth Avenue right here in Moncton. Retired as a nurse at the Moncton Hospital in 1980. So, you know, when she was telling me her story and all that stuff, her husband just passed away 10 years ago. He was 90. And when she's telling me all her story of how it was when she grew up, the difference between then and now, and she's lived and seen all kinds of different things. Still walks every day, maybe not as much in the winter outside, but still goes for walks every day. Just an amazing person, very kind, very gentle. C'était vraiment un plaisir de la voir devant ma lentille pour devenir la connaître parce qu'elle a élevé ses 3 enfants. Elle a participé dans la communauté pour plusieurs années. Et quand elle s'est retirée en 1980, continuait, elle fait encore de la cuisine, elle fait du pain, elle fait toute façon de choses pour se tenir d'occuper à l'âge de 101. Donc encore une fois, il n'est jamais trop tard ou on ne devrait jamais arrêter. Marc Cloutier de Moncton, je dois admettre, j'ai jamais autant ri dans toute ma vie quand j'ai fait ces images. Just a great guy, worked in the auto industry for many years and was quite involved in our local hockey associations. Annette Légère-White, une femme très spéciale, retirée en éducation. Elle a enseigné à l'école Lou McNairon à Dieppe et spécialiste dans la couture, des vêtements historiques. Grew up right here in Moncton on Grove Street, right in Parkton, from a big family, and very accomplished and wonderful, wonderful person, Annette White. Paul Haché, another person from Parkton, grew up with a large family, hard-working parents. Of course, back then, mother was home. Dad was just working very hard to feed the family. And when he came into the studio, he had these round glasses in his pocket, and I thought, and as we were talking, he told me that one of his biggest idols was John Lennon, and I said, we have to do something. We have to do something. So I told him to put his glasses on, and we kind of gave him that look. And he's a self-proclaimed, at the age of 70 when I photographed him, still a hippie. May Langes from Moncton, Sunnybray, and worked at Sears in Dieppe at the Champlain place for 36 years, mostly in ladies' wear, but also telling me the story of when she was a young girl. Her and her friends used to have the lunch, pack lunch by their mothers, and they would take the train that would stop on Mill Road and take them to Chiliac at the beach. It would leave where the Superstore is now and stop on Mill Road, where the train tracks meet the road. The train would stop, they would get on the train and go spend all day at the beach and then come home at night back by train. Something that doesn't exist today. Jamie Colpitts, I consider him to be a local legend. He's been playing guitar every single day since the age of 10, 12 years old. He's 90 now. And a lot of people, when they came to visit the exhibit, that are participants in the exhibit, all said the same thing. When I was dating my husband or dating my wife, we used to go to dances. And he was playing there with his band. Des endroits comme, pour exemple, où le Park House, l'hôtel Le Park House Inn se trouve maintenant au bout de la rue King. C'était un domicile, une maison qui a été achetée et convertie en club. Puis il jouait dans le salon. Dans le temps, les gens dansaient, le Club 31 sur la rue Pacific. Historical, played with all kinds of jazz greats and also influenced a lot of young people to take up music. Gilles Béliveau, un homme bien reconnu ici dans la ville, un homme d'affaires dans les investissements, et aussi musicien, flûtiste. And he, when he was telling me his stories also, he has some artifacts that he gave us, his first flute, but also started taking courses at the University de Moncton, the Université de Moncton, in 1967, and went right to the top from university professors teaching him. Interesting, and he's one of the founders of Trio Carte Blanche, a local jazz group right here in Moncton that plays all over the place. And he's been very, very well known and acknowledged as a flutist right here in Moncton. Un homme très accompli. Robert Leblanc, originaire de Memramcook, maintenant à Moncton, peintre, il fait de la peinture, mais aussi très reconnu comme musicien. He's a really well accomplished and respected bassist, and played with lots and lots of different bands through the years. And I can remember even myself when we were younger in the 80s and things like that. He was in all kinds of different bands. Funny, happy-go-lucky guy that just embraces, of course, music, and a good family man. Roméo Léger de Chiliac, un homme d'affaires très bien accompli, un parent, un père de famille, really well respected in the industry. At the age of 91, still goes to work every single day. Although he said that he doesn't do the heavy lifting anymore because they're part of boat building and mechanic and things like that. Started off his career as a body man for cars and things like that in 1938, something like this. Still goes to work every single day because he says it's not the heavy lifting that I want to do, is meeting the people. But still very involved in his own business. Travaille tous les jours, 91. Gisèle Julien, originaire de Moncton, fait sa carrière à Fredericton en enseignement. She was one of the first to be involved in French immersion schools, and an amazing person that just embraced her students and her life, and comes from a wonderful family. First lived on Bosford Street, and then moved in Parkton off Killam Drive, and then of course did her career for 27 years in Fredericton, and now is back home. Martin Waltz, originally from Grand Falls, Grand Sault, Nouveau-Brunswick, professeur à l'Université de Moncton, pianiste, voyagé autour du monde avec les chorales, avec les jeunes étudiants, now lives in Salisbury, and retired now from being a professor. interesting person with lots of stories, and just loves what he does. Still plays the piano almost every day, and just keeps quite involved. Simone Leblanc-Poirier, originally from Memramcook, still in Memramcook, retired with Corrections Canada. La première femme directrice des prisons maximum Dorchester-Illinois en Atlantique. What an interesting story and what a career. The first woman to be warden at maximum security prisons in Atlantic Canada. Bob Harvo Harvey. I think everybody in Moncton knows this guy. Originally from Halifax, has been a boxer. We all know him as a boxer, and in the Canadian Hall of Fame, which is very well accomplished. For those of you who know boxing, he trained with the greats like Evander Holyfield and people like that. Quand il était tout jeune, à Halifax, il était tout petit, puis il y a plusieurs gens qui le taquinaient, des choses comme ça, puis il était toujours dans des bagarres. Puis il était un peu frustré, puis une journée il a été d'une bagarre, puis son coach l'a vu, l'homme qui a devenu son coach l'a vu, puis il a dit, you need to come to the gym and get that aggression out because you have one amazing left hook. And when he moved to Moncton in the late 70s, early 80s, he worked at the Cosmo Club as a bouncer. And he said that it was the perfect job for him because he could work hard, keep into the, make some money and income and all this stuff, but also take lots of time off to go train in Boston for his next fights. Just an interesting guy, and I must say, very philosophical person, and quite sensitive. And here's a guy that grew up in boxing and fighting, where people consider a very violent sport. He's probably one of the most gentle person I know. Liliane Leblanc, from College Bridge, originally from College Bridge here in New Brunswick, an accountant. So has dedicated her life again to accounting, and when she retired, kept on doing it. Puis elle a commencé à travailler dans l'industrie du film et la technologie, donc encore très présente, même retirée, présente dans sa carrière. Gordon Leblanc, from near Chimigui, Bosford Portage, actually, near Chimigui here in New Brunswick, lives in Moncton. Did his career in aviation. During the war, was involved in designing and radar to track planes and things like that. Il a passé 2 ans de sa carrière seul sur l'île Sable, en Nouvelle-Écosse, des chevaux, tout ça. Puis son travail était de trouver les avions durant la guerre de Corée, des choses comme ça, pour suivre pour l'armée. Donc 2 ans seul sur une île pour faire son travail. Mais aujourd'hui, un homme vit à Moncton, and family man, retired, and again, very involved in the community to help others and things like that. An interesting, very interesting guy. Damnes Butler, une femme incroyable, très intéressante, impliquée dans la vie du film, has made part of her career, again going back to the 70s and 80s in Montreal, where she started a restaurant, was involved in restaurants, came back and has been involved for the rest of her career in movie making and television and things like that. Brilliant person. And now, being retired, she fixes houses and paints and all kinds of different things to keep her busy, and still quite active again, and enjoying life to the fullest. Valmont Melançon, born and raised in Moncton, right here across the street practically from Resergo Place at the corner of King and Harper's Lane. And just an interesting person. who again enjoys life to the fullest at 95, still very, very vibrant and very involved, was the owner of a Hub Dental Lab that still exists today. And one of his pride and joy, quand tu lui parles de Hub Dental Lab, la fierté qui sort de son corps est évidente, parce que pour lui, c'est encore une fois le point de vue d'engager des gens à travailler, payer un salaire pour qu'ils peuvent élever leur propre famille, acheter leur maison, éduquer leurs enfants et certainement les nourrir. Very proud man and a very, very accomplished businessman. Jacqueline Jeffrey, born in Capelé, and living in Moncton, of course, now, raised her family, and is a retired nurse. And two things when she retired, an absolute animal lover, and of course, she just had her dog, donc avec son nouveau chien, Gracie. Dans le temps que la photographe, je dis, faut que tu mettes ton chien avec toi. Pour elle, c'était une chose très, très spéciale d'avoir son chien avec elle. Mais aussi retirée, depuis qu'elle s'est retirée dans nursing, à l'hôpital de la ville de Moncton, City Hospital. Elle est présentement impliquée dans nutrition, puis aider des gens à manger dans la nourriture, des choses comme ça. Donc encore impliquée dans le domaine de la santé. Louis Bordage, originaire d'Acadie, au Nouveau-Brunswick, un père de famille, un très, très, très bon père, une belle famille, beaucoup de petits-enfants, mais aussi un fermier du temps dans l'agriculture, aussi les choses du temps avec sa maison et son frère, sa maison, tous les deux ont partagé une grange. Donc la moitié de la grange était sur un côté de la propriété de son frère, l'autre côté c'était lui, donc ils ont partagé les dépenses. And then later on became a carpenter, started a career in carpentry, and while he was raising his family, having a construction company and a farmer, raised his family, and did very well for himself. And at the age of 95, just adores being with his grandkids. Janine Gautreau-Léger, from Moncton, housewife for a while. And then when her kids were older and being able to go to school, she started working in the dental industry. So she was setting up offices for new dentists coming into town. Very, very, again, accomplished woman, a wonderful parent. C'est aussi une femme qui a travaillé très, très dur. Elle et son mari ont dédié leur vie à leurs 3 enfants. Donc c'est là que ça devient des choses très intéressantes d'entendre. Puis encore aujourd'hui, à travers ce projet-ci, j'ai connu leurs enfants. Donc une famille très, très, très près. Pierre Robichaud, un des fondeurs du groupe fameux en Acadie 1755, voyageur international, écrivain, musicien, très accompli. He's a guy that really embraced Acadian roots and culture in his travels worldwide with his music, but he's also a writer. And he partnered, he was 50% partner or writer with 1755 with the poet Gérald Leblanc.